They concealed it in ritual language, so it would not fall into careless hands. Not in encrypted servers, not in restricted laboratories, inside you. 2 inches below your navel lies a neurological command center that ancient warriors trained to master in silence. They called it Tanden, the lower field, the human axis, and they warned that without discipline, its power remained dormant. Because once activated, it stabilizes the organism at a level most people never experience. You were never taught this. Instead, you were conditioned into shallow breathing, tight abdominals, lifted shoulders, and constant sympathetic arousal. You learned to live above the diaphragm. High breathing, rapid breathing, defensive breathing. That pattern slowly becomes your identity. You think you are anxious. You think you lack focus. You think you are easily stressed. But beneath those labels is a mechanical dysfunction. You are breathing in a way that tells your brain you are under threat. The Tanden is not mystical mythology. It corresponds to a region where diaphragmatic movement, fascial tension, pelvic floor stability, and autonomic signaling converge. When breath descends fully into the lower abdomen, pressure changes stimulate receptors that send direct signals to the brainstem. Those signals influence heart rhythm, vascular tone, digestion, and emotional reactivity. Ancient practitioners described this as centering the spirit. Modern neuroscience describes it as enhancing vagal tone. The reason this knowledge feels hidden is because it challenges the narrative that performance comes from pushing harder. In reality, performance emerges from stability. Without stability, strength collapses under stress. Intelligence fragments under pressure. Confidence evaporates during confrontation. But when the lower center is engaged, the body organizes around it. Shoulders relax, jaw softens, thoughts slow, yet awareness sharpens. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time your breath naturally expanded your lower abdomen without effort? When did you last feel grounded without forcing calmness? If you struggle to remember, that is not weakness. That is conditioning. Years of stress, posture habits, and social pressure have disconnected you from your biological anchor. The Tanden is that anchor. It is the ballast beneath emotional storms. And once you understand how to activate it correctly, you begin reclaiming something that modern life has gradually stripped away. Peak biological stability. Look at the state of your nervous system today. Notifications trigger microsurges of cortisol. Deadlines tighten your diaphragm. Emotional friction constricts your abdomen. Your body rarely exits alert mode. Even during rest, your breathing pattern reflects vigilance. Short inhales, incomplete exhales, chest movement, dominating abdominal expansion. This is not random. It is adaptation to chronic stimulation. When breathing remains shallow, carbon dioxide levels drop below optimal range. This reduces oxygen delivery efficiency at the cellular level. Your tissues receive less usable oxygen even while you breathe more frequently. The result is paradoxical fatigue. At the same time, reduced diaphragmatic movement fails to stimulate the vagus nerve adequately. Without sufficient vagal input, the sympathetic branch dominates. Elevated heart rate, reduced digestive activity, increased inflammatory signaling. You exist in low-grade survival mode. This is why minor stressors feel amplified. Your system is already primed for threat detection. A single, unexpected problem becomes overwhelming. Your jaw tightens. Your stomach constricts. Your breath rises. The body reacts before conscious reasoning intervenes. Over time, this reactive pattern becomes automatic. You may attempt cognitive strategies to manage stress. Positive thinking, mental reframing, motivation. But cognition rests on physiology. If your breathing pattern continuously signals danger, the brain cannot sustain calm interpretation. Stability must be installed at the mechanical level first. Ancient traditions observed this without modern instruments. They noticed that warriors who breathed from the lower abdomen maintained composure in battle. Monks who cultivated abdominal breathing could sit for hours without agitation. What they discovered through observation, we now validate through autonomic measurements. Lower abdominal breathing correlates with improved heart rate variability, reduced cortisol reactivity, and enhanced emotional regulation. The tragedy of modern conditioning is that abdominal movement is often suppressed. Sitting compresses it. Aesthetic pressures encourage holding the stomach tight. Stress locks the diaphragm. You live in partial respiration. Partial respiration creates partial stability, and partial stability collapses under pressure. The problem is not your willpower. It is disconnection from the mechanical center that stabilizes your entire system. The solution is not to think differently first. It is to breathe differently, precisely, consistently. Now we examine the mechanism at a deeper level. The vagus nerve is central to this transformation. It carries parasympathetic signals that slow heart rate, enhance digestion, and regulate inflammatory responses. Diaphragmatic breathing, particularly when directed into the lower abdomen, increases vagal afferent signaling. Stretch receptors within the thoracic and abdominal cavity detect expansion and relay information to the brainstem. The message is interpreted as safety. Safety shifts neurochemistry. Sympathetic output decreases. Cortisol secretion moderates. Blood vessels dilate. Heart rhythm becomes more variable and adaptive. This variability, measured as heart rate variability, is a strong indicator of resilience. When breathing slows to approximately 5 to 6 cycles per minute and remains diaphragmatic, cardiorespiratory synchronization occurs. The heart rhythm aligns with respiratory rhythm. This coherence reflects autonomic balance. Carbon dioxide tolerance also improves with slow, controlled breathing. Adequate CO2 levels enhance oxygen release to tissues through the Bohr effect. This supports mitochondrial ATP production. Stable energy is not merely psychological, it is biochemical. Efficient respiration reduces unnecessary metabolic stress. Additionally, nasal breathing increases nitric oxide production in the nasal passages. Nitric oxide improves vascular function and oxygen uptake. Combined with diaphragmatic expansion, this creates a cascade of improved circulation and cellular efficiency. Fascial networks linking diaphragm and pelvic floor form a pressure system. When the diaphragm descends and the pelvic floor responds subtly upward, a stable cylinder forms. This enhances spinal stability and proprioceptive feedback. The brain interprets this structural organization as groundedness. Stability of structure feeds stability of perception. The ancient language of energy centers described what we now understand as integrated physiological systems. The tanden is not metaphysical speculation. It is a convergence of respiratory mechanics, neural signaling, vascular regulation, and structural stability. Activate it correctly, and multiple systems synchronize toward equilibrium. Execution requires precision. Sit upright with the spine elongated but not rigid. Slightly tilt the pelvis forward to prevent abdominal compression. Relax the shoulders and soften the jaw. Place awareness 2 inches below the navel. Inhale slowly through the nose for 4 to 5 seconds. Allow the breath to descend downward, expanding the lower abdomen in a 360-degree pattern. As the diaphragm lowers, gently engage the pelvic floor. The sensation should be subtle, like a light lift rather than a forceful contraction. This creates a balanced pressure system between diaphragm and pelvis. Pause briefly at the top of the inhale without strain. Then exhale slowly through the nose for 6 to 8 seconds. Maintain posture while allowing the abdomen to soften gradually. The exhale must be longer than the inhale. This extended exhalation enhances parasympathetic activation. Continue this pattern for 5 to 10 minutes. Aim for approximately 5 breaths per minute. Avoid lifting the chest or forcing the abdomen outward. The movement should be controlled and coordinated. Practice twice daily. Consistency establishes neural adaptation. Over time, the breath will naturally descend lower without conscious effort. The goal is automatic regulation under stress. The transformation follows a measurable trajectory. Immediately, heart rate slows and muscular tension decreases. Within several days, baseline breathing patterns shift slightly lower. Sleep onset may improve as parasympathetic tone strengthens. After 1 week, emotional reactivity diminishes. You notice a pause before responding to stress. Heart rate variability trends upward. Energy fluctuations stabilize. After 1 month, diaphragmatic breathing becomes more natural. Carbon dioxide tolerance increases. Endurance improves subtly. Recovery from stress accelerates. After 3 months, the pattern is ingrained. Under pressure, your breath drops instead of rising. Stability becomes reflexive. This is biological resilience installed through repetition. You now understand the mechanism and the method. The remaining factor is discipline. For the next 7 days, commit to 2 daily sessions without interruption. Morning before stimulation. Evening before sleep. Precision over intensity. When stress arises, drop the breath to the lower abdomen before acting. 1 controlled inhale. 1 extended exhale. Create space. Respond deliberately. A regulated nervous system is powerful. It resists manipulation. It conserves energy. It sustains performance. The Tanden has always been present within you. Reclaim it. Train it. Stabilize your biology from the center outward.